Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Facebook Live. It is the 18th of June, year 2025. Welcome, everyone. We are starting into the middle of summer, so it's getting hot everywhere. Let me welcome our panel today. Our apologies, we had some technical difficulties, so we are late by about 20 minutes or so. So we'll try to make it up. Let me welcome the panel. We have April here, who is a psychic, a medium, and has quite a few modalities of healing. She offers counseling services as well. And we were just discussing that April offers the counseling sessions. Like you can sign up for either a psychic reading for an hour or counseling sessions with April. I know quite a few of us. Lakshmi was just saying that she signed up and has had readings with April. So April does a wonderful job of her readings. So thank you, April, for being here. And then we have Lakshmi, who is one of our workshop session leaders and she leads sessions on mantra chanting. Thank you, Lakshmi, for being here. And then we have Patricia, who's part of a core group of meditators. Good evening, Patricia. And I'm going to look up the question, which again comes from Eckhart Tolle's coursework on A New Earth. Francesca and I signed up for this coursework, and people have asked Eckhart these questions. So let me bring up the next question. So this person asks April, Eckhart, what is a new earth? And you say that the universe will be creating differently in the future. Can you explain how the universe will be creating differently in the future? What will be the new, what is a new earth? And quite a few people, like Dolores Cannon says that it already split, like the new earth is being created, right? So what do we mean by what is a new earth? And this is based on his book, A New Earth. The course is based on his book, A New Earth. So you don't need me to type that question, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So the concept of the new earth has been around for quite a while from Eckhart and from others, that there's going to be this new earth. I think it's also something that it's kind of like the promised land type thing, and that it may be even up to the second coming of Christ, that things will be different. They will be better. They will be happy, peaceful. Everyone will be okay. And I do think that that's what we want, and that's where we're headed. We are evolving. And as we're evolving, we're growing. We are becoming more aware, more awake. We are becoming more understanding, more caring, more kind, more compassionate. And that in itself creates the new earth. It creates a new world where there is more getting along and co-creating versus competing. So, but this one is how will the universe be creating the future differently? Which is interesting that they've added that part in. How will the universe? How the universe
Could be the universe, or it could be us. Like, how would human beings be creating, like all of creation? Yeah. How would creation happen in a new earth?
Yeah. So that's an interesting little tidbit that it's got on there, but I do think that we will be creating from a different space. So right now, most of us create when we are not awake from scarcity, from lack, from a space of need, a space of survival. And that is the piece that will be going away, will be slowly evolving away. And it'll be much more of the co-creation. It'll be community, and it won't be out of fear. And because we will not be creating out of lack and fear and survival and competition, manifesting, creating will happen faster. So we're learning that we have the ability to co-create, we have the ability to manifest. And as we become more aware, loving, kind, we are also raising our vibration and our belief in ourself and our self-love, which then in turn will also make the creation process faster. So a lot of the times, you know, we live in this fear and this lack, and we go around believing we're not worthy, that we don't have everything, that we are missing things. But when you create from a space of already deserving, already knowing, then it's like half the battle. As far as us, from a place of love and communion and togetherness, and I personally can't wait. I can't wait. So this question makes me think, though, because
It's a very intriguing question.
Because the thing is so this is what it's making me think. Like, so right now, most of us create from fear and lack, and we're scared and we're trying to survive. And, you know, some of us are really just trying to put food on the table and just pay this week's bills. And that's an energy that's sent out constantly, right? So that's an energy that's coming back around. But if we change this, which we are, and we're working towards that, then the whole momentum of the universe will be completely different. And that's what's making me really kind of think about this for a minute. So I don't know. I have to think about this question myself. Interesting.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Grateful. Infinite gratitude, April. Thank you so much. Perfectly said. I think some of what you said is what Eckhart said as well. I'll go over to Lakshmi in case she drops early. So Lakshmi, thank you for hanging in there, everyone. I know we were late by 20 minutes, so thank you so much.
It's a very interesting question, and I too heard Dolores Cannon say that the Earth is going to split into two, and so it is. So I basically agree with what April has said, and so as each one of us, we started contributing to that collective consciousness. We are raising the vibration of this universe, and so then I think each one of us, it's like it's going to be so contagious that we are all helping each other in raising our vibration. So I think it will catch up, that like she said, we are not going to be focused on competition. We are not going to be jealous of somebody. We are not going to live in fear and that lack. So once we stop doing that, this new earth is just going to be such a beautiful place where everyone is helping everyone, and it is filled with kindness and appreciation, and we are all contributing to the Mother Earth instead of depleting the Mother Earth. Right now, we are just using the Mother Earth like crazy, and we are just, abusing Mother Earth. But then I think in New Earth, we will honor it, and with reverence, we'll be walking each step with so much reverence that, like Eckhart, I mean, like Thich Nhat Hanh says that when you're walking on the earth, you're kissing the earth with each and every step that you're walking. So I think with so much reverence that each and every one of us will be contributing towards this Mother Earth, that is how the new earth is created with we ourselves can see how each one of us, we are able to be that examples, that just looking at others, looking at ourselves, uh, people around us are also raising their vibration, so each one of us are already becoming that. So um, we each are going to be that um, change, that universe in and new earth will be. So yeah, that's all, Poonam. Thank you.
So sweet and precious. Thank you, as always, Lakshmi. Eternally grateful. So April talked about we come from lack, and that's how we would Abraham. I like Abraham Hicks's words where she says we were creating out of default so far, and then it's act of deliberate creation, right? When we consciously create, like out of that loving kindness and compassion, when we consciously create, when we imbue the action with our consciousness, then the conscious creation will have a totally different quality to it than, like, we wouldn't be creating all these ugly monstrous buildings that we are creating, right? Like if we can already see, like when 3,000 years ago or 4,000 years ago, like the pyramids, like they were creations that are
Yeah,
like fill us with awe, right?
yeah,
So that would be what we would be creating, is things with which fill us with awe.
yeah. Just I was listening to some nutritionist, and she was saying that if great grandma were to come and see the lunches that kids are eating, she wouldn't recognize what are these Lunchables or Go-Gurts, right? So I think so. I think we will be eating more whole food and um, also more healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
And then one of the pictures that I have is, I don't know how many of you watch Star Trek, the TV show Star Trek.
No, I
Do you all
don't.
watch Star Trek? In Star Trek, there is this character called Q, right? And Q, there's a starship, like there's a ship, right? Like a spaceship, and there's a captain. And Q is always irritating the captain, but he irritates the captain by creating, like he'll do it like this, and things get created, like a mariachi band, and like all these people singing, and like a Mexican this thing. So that's how we would be creating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we do this, and like we think the thought, and uh the thing creates, right?
Yeah.
And then I also have heard Dolores Cannon, when she takes people back into their past life, if they go into being entity that is in another world, and they talk about how they fly their spaceships, they only fly their spaceships through mind, like using psychic abilities, right?
Wow.
Telepathy kind of thing, right, April? She explains it that way, that all they do is they put their mind to it. There's no engine, and that's why it can traverse, like they traverse light years, right? If they come into our atmosphere.
Yeah, it's amazing. And also, anytime that you talk to somebody who has had an NDE, they also explain the same thing, that things are instant, that it's all through the consciousness. It's none of this physical matter, which is very slow. It's a slowed down energy form. Yeah, I think it'll be much different. And I do agree with Lakshmi that, we will appreciate the earth more and the food more and all of that. And I do think we are, well, it may not seem like it, especially right now. I do think we're moving that way. I do.
I think to Lakshmi's point of this thing, then all the nuclear energy has to stop. We need to stop misusing energy that's going to destroy the planet, right? Radiation and all that. So we need to move to solar. Somehow we have to harness the power of the sun. So that's one thing I see. This is something that Eckhart did not talk about, but I feel that we need to learn how to harness the power of the sun and wind to provide us with energy. The fossil fuel and nuclear is not the right type of energy because we are damaging the earth. We are damaging Mother Earth. And I heard Matthias Stefano say that the earth doesn't care. 1 minute, we've already had 5 complete extinctions, right, of this earth. Earth does not care about human beings. If we misuse this planet to the extent that we are misusing it, it can destroy the whole thing. And it will survive because it survived five times. Like in the past millions of years or billions of years, Earth has survived. It is us that are new to this planet. So we are forgetting that, right? One more pointer that I wanted to give is one of the things that Dr. Joe teaches in his abundance course is this, you can create through 3D, but there's this 5D, fifth dimensional creation. And fifth dimensional creation is exactly what a new earth creation is, which is it instantly, like you're raising your vibrational frequency to such an extent that you think about something, you focus your attention on it, and it manifests. And I love the way Dr. Joe says, right? Out of nowhere, out of no time, out of no thing, this thing will get created for you. You don't even have to figure out how it's going to create. Like a lot of people would go, oh, I need to buy a house. Now I need to save. Now I need to do a second job. I need to do this. No, none of that. You don't know where that thing is coming from. It will come, but you need to focus and have the right vibrational energy. So I loved his fifth dimensional teaching. And one of the examples he gave was while he was doing this work of doing fifth dimensional teaching, he said, okay, divine being or source, if I'm doing my work right, give me an example of how am I doing the right thing? Am I actually creating from fifth dimension? So give me an example. And he says, and this is years back, like 20 years back or something. So he says, he went to his clinic where in San Diego, he was a chiropractor, right? So he went to his clinic and then his client came and the client said, oh, Dr. Joe, you know what? I played you on the squares for football and you won, Dr. Joe. You won 2 squares and you won $300. How unusual is that? Why would some client, I mean, he had a really good, and then he said, Dr. Joe, you need to keep this $300 because, I mean, it is your name, right? So these $300 are yours. So he gave, and Dr. Joe kept it because he knew that's a sign that it came from nowhere. It came from nothing, right? It just came, just appeared, right? So with that, Patricia, you want to talk about this or have any questions?
It's very fascinating. I love when Lakshmi and April and you were talking about it. I just hope that I'm gonna get on that new earth. So
why? No, I just wanted you to correct yourself. Why would you say I hope? Why wouldn't you say I know I will be on the new earth? Why do you still have a lack and income? Exactly what April was saying. Why are you creating from lack? Right, April? You have to be so careful. I'll give you a Matthias De Stefano's this thing about words, what words we speak, what comes out, right? What are we saying? Each word has weight and frequency. Right, April? And
Yeah. So I mean, I'm also interested in like, why was that your first thought? I hope I get on there. There's a lot of conditioning with you, right? It's a lot of religious conditioning and a lot of family conditioning. That if I'm not one of the good ones that Jesus is going to come back and get, I'm not, I haven't behaved yet enough, right? I'm not good enough yet. It has to be your conditioning. That's a Christian religious conditioning. It's a religious conditioning that you're not good enough. You better be good so you can be saved. But it's also taught in our families. So that just shows that you still have some conditioning, because if you truly embrace, and I'm not yelling at you, but if you truly embrace the teachings of Eckhart, Joe Dispenza, Mattia, Abraham, let's just name it all. If you truly embrace the teachings of spiritualism, of evolution, you would already know that you're perfect as you are with all your flaws, because you're supposed to have flaws. You can't evolve without flaws. How are you going to evolve when you're perfect? What fun is that? How are you going to do it? There's nothing to do.
And she's doing
So
it. Like she does.
why do you feel like you have to push that conditioning that you have, that I'm still not perfect enough to get there? No, actually you are perfect enough to get there. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to be broken so you could come here and learn. If you come here perfect, there's nothing to learn. Yeah.
Just thinking
Yeah.
that maybe I'm not doing enough. I'm not getting there fast enough to get
Why
to
do you
the
still think that? I've
vibration.
been talking on this panel for like 5 years now. It's been like since COVID. That's when I first did it, was COVID. I decided that I needed to be a speaker for a living. I'm still working on that goal. Still working on that goal. But it's moving along perfectly. But you were thinking that 5 years ago. Not doing enough, not doing enough, not doing it good enough, not doing fast enough. You're still holding that conditioning. We all hold that conditioning of not being good enough, not being perfect. Because you have to drop it. You have to challenge it. You have to see it. Poonam can't see it for you.
So once I drop it, this is when new earth is gonna happen, or everybody has
Why
to.
you? You,
So
one person, one soul?
is it happening all at once for everybody?
It's all, yes, it's happening. It's already happening. It's already happened. It's already there. Everything that exists already exists. It's already there. It's already created. It's about perception and it's about reality. The new earth is already there. And it's about growing and evolving into that state. You grow and evolve into 5D. It's already, everything that exists already exists. You evolve into it so that you won't see the world the way that you see it today. It's still there. The struggle is still there. The work is still there. The pain is still there. And it's going to be there for some. It's already split. But you're going to be over here in this one, where you're co-creating and manifesting from that space of love and fulfillment and worthiness instead of lack. I'm not enough and not fast enough, not smart enough, didn't say it right, didn't do it. You are in 3D. We're moving here, 5D. See, it goes way beyond that even. You don't see that lack anymore. You're not in that world. It's already here. This question, it's already here.
And the way I feel, April, the way Patricia can know that you are in the process of doing the manifestation yourself is by recognizing the small manifestations that you're doing already out of your meditations. I'm positive with the level of meditation that if you're doing 3 hours of meditation on Saturday and Sunday, I'm positive there's something that is manifesting for you. You are just not taking the time to recognize it and appreciate it. Things grow when it's like a flower. You have to flower your manifestation, right? I flower my manifestation. I flower like if I were to think of oh, I need to get an avocado and somebody brings me an avocado, right? That's a manifestation. Right? If I think I'm too tired and suddenly Juneteenth happens, right? That's a manifestation. I realize, oh, I have a day off, or some holiday happens. Those small things, you have to recognize them as manifestations. Like suddenly, like I'm getting tired. Like today, I was getting tired. Then by 3:30, my work kind of like dwindled, and I went, okay, I can log off. I don't need to be online. That's a manifestation. And I was tired because we don't do coffee, right? We don't, and I didn't sleep well enough. I didn't sleep enough last night because I woke up at 3:30 in the morning to do my meditation, right? So that is a manifestation that, okay, people are slowly, the office people are, because of a holiday tomorrow, they themselves are stopping work. So even I can stop work. And I left like, instead of 4 o'clock, I left by 3:30. And I
So
recognize the
have,
manifestation.
So I have something that's popped up here in the last couple minutes, so I have to go. Patricia, everybody, when you stop living from the state of fear, from the state of lack, from the state of less than, from not worthy, and you move forward into I'm worthy, I'm whole, I'm okay, it's going to be okay, I'm good enough with all my flaws, you have moved into the new earth. The new earth is one of love. The one we're in now is the 3D. It is difficult, it's struggle. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to be on a whole new planet. We're going to be right where we are in a different state of consciousness. Nobody's getting on a ship and going somewhere. Okay. So again, you must love all your flaws. They're not flaws.
Wow, you're amazing. Thank you, April.
Jonathan says, good evening, Jonathan, or good morning to you. He says that a new earth is also, is the challenges we are facing now is new earth too. So go ahead, Patricia. I'll let you speak. What do you think is a new earth? What do you think is going to happen? Now that you've heard all three of us and you've heard what Dr. Joe says about how to do, what's going to be a manifestation?
I am just starting feeling more of an energy. So if this is what is meant by, because Dr. Joe keeps explaining it, which I love because I agree with the words. From the beginning, he said that it made so much sense that I knew it's true. That meditation, especially when he does time-space meditation, right? Or space-time. That quantum versus particle, and wave versus particle. But those concepts, I mean, I heard them as words, but I didn't think I could live it. Like when you were talking about right now about this show, this is human imagination, but I'm figuring maybe this is also like a little preview of the ability of human telepathy even, right? This remote viewing that some people have, all
Mhm.
the different spiritual talents that people have.
Mhm.
I mean, there are many of us that already has that, or that are actually aware of that, or develop and polish their craft in that ability. Even April being able to do the you know, viewing and readings, and this is an ability that it's from the other earth. It's being brought here maybe to show us a preview. Where are we going?
Mhm.
So just finding my role in it, and how I can create out of that space. So that's
Right. And Eckhart explains, when this person asked the question, Eckhart explains, like in India, we call it cities, like this remote viewing, telepathy, telekinesis are called cities. Like if you'll know, Dr. Joe talks about the autobiography of the yogi, Yogananda Paramahamsa's book, Autobiography of a Yogi, explains a lot of these cities that um,
like
so Yogananda's
Shiva.
teacher was Sri Yukteswar, right? And like somehow, like somebody's going in a train and the train is stopped and there's this person in front of the train, and that's like the yogi in front of the train, right? And then it stops and then they let go or something like that. Suddenly this they talk about Babaji, who suddenly creates like a palace for Sri Yukteswar, and then he makes it disappear immediately, right? It appears and it disappears, like a beautiful gold-studded palace. It appears and it disappears. That's mentioned in the book Autobiography of a Yogi. So those are very new earthy kind of creations, right? So, and what you will realize is a lot of people talk about, I don't know if y'all have heard of this a person, Darius J. Wright, who talks about out-of-body experiences, right? So somebody asked him, what does he eat? And he said, I eat only bioavailable foods. And he said, fruits are the most bioavailable. He doesn't eat any vegetables. He eats fruits. So just imagine that's what we would have food that we would just take it off of a tree and we would be just eating it. It's not like we would have these huge grocery stores with so much General Mills Fruit Loops and General Mills whatever they create, right? Cocoa Puffs. We won't have that kind of food anymore.
But Poonam,
Right?
didn't humans at some point had that? I mean, we went in a history through that period of time when there were farms and everybody lived off the land, and then this happened. Civilization happens, and now it was progress. It was,
But it doesn't mean that civilization, this is more advanced. This may be our decline, right? We may have been more advanced 10,000, 20,000 years ago. Like they say, Atlantis, Lemurian, all these people were more advanced than what we are right now. Like Matthias talks about building the pyramids. He said, everybody thinks it's like cranes, like the History Channel shows cranes and people pulling these huge granite rocks. He says, no, we just did it through our mind. We lifted the granite through mind and we cut the granite through water. They had, the mind was so, the telepathy and the vibrational energy of a collective is so high that they cut the granite through just mind, like focusing. Where attention goes, energy flows, right? Dr. Joe says. They
so
cut
what's
the
stopping? like April said, what could be stopping mine or anybody's ability to create? That programming that takes my energy?
The conditioned patterns, the limiting beliefs, the karmic accumulation. We cannot raise our vibrational frequency. We won't spend time to be still, right? We don't sit still enough. We are a distracted generation. We're more on the phone. We want to do 10 things at the same time, pick up the phone, call, do things on the computer. We are a very distracted generation. We cannot be still. And that's what is causing the lack of creation.
And also, can I add something too, Poonam?
I was about to once Patricia said, I was going to turn to you, Francesca. So go ahead.
Because Patricia asked the question, Eckhart talked about it this morning as well too, which is perfect. I'm like, oh, what a perfect question. And in relation to creation, he said that, which is really important for everybody's awareness, is like right now, everything has been in creation, including the structure of the earth as we know it in relation to all the systems that's been put in place, right? A lot of that, like the newer ones that we've been creating, has been coming from that egoic state of mind, which is, and even from intelligence. He actually touched on intelligence and how, well, brilliant intelligence is, but intelligence alone cannot, it might solve a problem, but then it'll create 300 other problems because, again, it's coming from that, intensity, that egoic state of mind, which is beautiful when it comes to creating. However, what we're missing, and he mentioned what will save the new earth or just will save humanity altogether, is wisdom. And that's where people like himself and Dr. Joe and everybody else, us, that's where we're coming from. We're coming from a place of wisdom. So like yourself, Poonam, all of us here, and all the people that show up for his all of his courses, that shows up in the community and so forth, we're all already on the new earth, because the new earth is the state of consciousness that we're showing up from. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this work. And that's why we're, doing our part to help evolve, the rest of the world, to help wake up the other people that are still, flowing from that state of unconsciousness, that undeveloped mind, that mind that's flowing from intelligence only. And you see this a lot, like in the workplaces, right? And the CEOs and that level, right? There's a lot of some people, there's a lot of intelligence, right? But there is the lack of wisdom, which comes from the essence of our being, from Poonam mentioned earlier, sitting, that stillness, right? Really self-inquiry, so that we can understand what the problem is to begin with. And when we understand what it is, the wisdom will naturally, well, it's the wisdom that helps us to understand. That's the thing. So it kind of interconnects in that regards. So yeah, we are all, including yourself, is already on the new earth, because the new earth is the state of consciousness, right? And we're all doing our, little parts. And the reason why he mentioned, that the universe will be creating differently in the future, that literally means in the future, even though there is no future psychological time. But anyway, let's say we're no longer here and there's a future, that's going to happen, right? Our kids are going to be growing up in that future, right? So the reason why that's going to happen is because we're going to be operating as a whole from more evolved states of consciousness. So the awakened versions of us, we're parenting different, right? We're learning how to show up differently, we're learning how to, be in relationships and so forth differently, right? We're learning so much that's literally what's going to take off. That's what's going to happen, because for the last, I know how many millions of years it's been since beginningless time, we've been essentially serving the egoic era in all of its most densest of formations you can possibly think of, right? Often described as the darkness. My God, it's already happened. I think we've explored every possibility in that regards. It's over. And yeah, those of us, who are showing up, who are sitting with ourselves, practicing every day, we are the ones that are retraining this mind, where we're teaching ourselves, right? And as we do that, we are evolving, and we are, we can create from that fifth dimension, or whichever dimension we're playing in. We can play in multiple dimensions. We can do so many things, like just as in the dark era, when the possibilities are infinite and unlimited. Same thing in, I call this the light era, in a way, where we're experiencing, we're learning, we're remembering, we're learning how to remember our divinity, this beautiful essence that all of us are, this pure awareness, right? We were in a way conditioned, to like separate from it. We keep drifting, forgetting, that, hey, we're not just this body, like this body is just a vessel, right? These are just conduits, right? That divine energy comes through in order to experience itself and express itself in all of its forms. So we forgot, this beautiful essence of who we truly are. And today in our practice, we were actually looking at each other, like the practice was like, okay, we'll get into groups, and we always, it's like discuss what's coming up for you. But Eckhart ended his talk by, describing what love was. And love is seeing every single person as, and that's what stood out for everybody, seeing every single person as one. Because when you take away this human costume, everything, right? We are just one. This beautiful being of love and light, the being that we keep forgetting, that we were forgetting in the past. We're no longer forgetting because we're here now. In my Zen teaching, we go, you are this light, pure selfless awareness. Rely upon this only. Rely upon this ceaselessly.
Thank you so much, Francesca. Grateful, both of you. Eternally grateful for the feedback and insights. Isn't that where Francesca, is it Eckhart, or I remember even Debbie Ford, who used to do shadow work, she said one part of shadow work is sitting across from each other and looking into each other's, what Eckhart says, gazing into their eyes.
Yeah,
is that
so
what you did in your practice? I don't know, did I miss the community practice? I missed the community practice because I'm working during the workday. So what was the community practice?
Well, it's usually always, we get into our groups, and we, based on the talk that we listen to, we discuss what's coming up for us. And the group that I was in, the thing that stood out to us was Eckhart's description of love. Actually, I'll read it. It says, love is the recognition of other as one. So there is no other. So as one with who I am, so not as the other, right? So that stood out for everybody. And in the talk, he described in great details that doing so, right? And because everybody, of course, is like, oh my God, it's so hard to do that, right? Everybody had a story of, why it's so hard to do that because, of all the constructs, the ego constructs that appears on top and clouds our judgment.
Sure.
And so in my Zen practice, we do, what's called pure awareness. And when we do the pure awareness portion of our practice, we literally look at each other's in the eyes on the screen and we're like, pure awareness, yes, we're recognizing every single person that being as pure awareness, and then we repeat it's pure awareness is embodied, is embodied, is embodied, you know, is embodied, is embodied, is embodied. Pure awareness, yes, my awareness, your awareness, all awareness, this awareness, this awareness, this awareness, awake, swaha. So that's, yeah, part of our awareness practice. And today our group practiced doing, you know, the love practice because it stood out for all of us, you know, it's like, oh my God. And it was actually very beautiful. So, and we ended up, you probably missed it because we practiced today and yesterday. So it was the first time we did 2 days in a row back to back.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I missed I saw the notification that there was community practice, but I'm working, like they hold it during a working day, right?
Yeah.
During the daytime. So I don't know how people join because like maybe they take time off from work, but I had meetings all throughout the day. I didn't have very much time for a break. So is it what namaste means? Yeah, namaste means I see the spirit in me sees the spirit in you.
The light in me, yes, means yes, is the light in you. Namaste, Om Mani Padme Hum, you know, like that's usually, you know, how I greet like the monks or, you know, Om Mani Padme Hum, you know, the light in me bows, the light in you. Yeah, the different greetings. Essentially, it's greeting
Exactly.
the essence, the being, yeah, that we are without all of the
Beautiful.
ego constructs that's been creating everything, sadly, on the planet. And yeah, no longer.
Awesome. Thank you, Francesca. I wanted to answer one of the questions that Patricia asked even before the Facebook Live started. Patricia, you were asking about like my experience and April's experience on the loss, right? Like I said, I spent like $5,000-6,000 last year on my car, and you were asking why does that happen, right? Why does something of that nature happen? And one, because we are on a spiritual path, I think in your mind, you're thinking that no longer will any challenge ever arise just because we are so spiritually evolved, right? That nothing is going to go wrong. For that matter, Dr. Joe being such a mystical being, he has such mystical experiences. The first day that we had the abundance course, it did not launch properly. They had technical difficulties. Like the first 15-20 minutes, we could not even look at his like what's going on in the live stream. We couldn't even view the live stream. For that matter, then he had a meditation that he promised us, whoever joined the abundance course. He said, I'll do a free meditation when I do the Washington, D.C. week-long event. Again, the live stream did not work, right? But once the challenge happens, what do you do with the challenge? Okay, you're a spiritually evolved being. Now the challenge happened, right? Now, how are you going to experience the challenge? And just like April was saying, it's a lesson of surrender.
Yes, and also how we show up. Do we react?
Exactly.
Yeah, or do we respond?
That we are surrendered.
Yeah.
Like just like I explained before, right? How I immediately picked up the phone, called the first. I saw people speeding, so I took my laptop bag, whatever my belongings, my purse, my laptop bag, and I mean, I was in the rightmost lane on the curb, like beside the curb, right? So I took my bag, I got out of the car, and I took all my belongings and I put it down on the side, right side of the car. I mean, on the curb. And then I picked up a phone and I called the guy who would tow me away, right? Within 15-20 minutes, like a cop, maybe 25 5 minutes, a cop came and then he put his lights on so that people wouldn't come hit my car, right? Because they were speeding, like everybody exit. I was at the exit. You know how interstates are, right? Like on the exit, people are going to speed down the exit at 80 miles per hour, and they would have come hit me. So he was there and he talked to me while I was waiting on the towing guy. Then that interaction, one, seeing the cop as a divine being, just like Francesca was saying, right? Seeing him as a divine being.
The
Seeing-
universal cop, I call him.
Exactly. Then seeing the towing guy as a divine being, the towing guy not only took me to the mechanic. First of all, the towing guy gave me the best advice. He said, I was going to take the car to the dealership, right? My default is I don't know anything about cars, so I will go to the dealership. And he said, why are you going to spend so much money? Let me save you some money. Let me take you to this mechanic. And he started calling mechanics, and the first mechanic didn't answer. The second mechanic that answered is a pure saint. Like my car goes, if my car has some trouble or I need oil change or regular maintenance, right? We go back to the same mechanic. Since I'm in a new city, for the past few years, past year, my car has always gone back to the same mechanic. We loved him so much. I mean, if you look at the blessing behind the challenge, then you'll realize it is no longer a challenge. And if I had to spend $6,000, if April had to spend whatever, $5,000, or she's this thing, right? Whatever amount of money she has to spend, in some past lifetime, she owed those same people money. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? In some
Yeah.
past lifetime, they paid her the money and she's just returning the money back in this lifetime. Like I am just, if I paid him $5,000, if I paid the mechanic, I had to pay the mechanic $5,000. I had to get a rental car for 10 days or something. That cost me $1,000 along with the rental and the insurance cost me like $1,000, $1,200. So it became like a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 worth of expense. But my thing was I owe them some money. I owe this person money and I owe the rental car company some money. And that's part of life. Like money, like currency, we have to understand the word currency, that the currency is things come and you have to let it go.
Flow.
The moment you hold on, that's coming from a sense of lack. I can anytime create those $6,000. Does that make sense? The cue, I can do this and I can create the $6,000. I don't need to worry. I don't need to worry with this. And you won't believe it. Actually, something or the other would happen. I would get some money from my tax return. Then I would get like something happened with my homestead exemption and my tax from I got some rebate from the property tax. I got like a $800 or $900 check. Right? Something or the other kept giving me money back. It's not like, oh, okay, I didn't have this, but I knew the lesson was that I need to have that kind of savings in my bank account. So the next time this happens, I know I'll be okay. I should be able to pay it out of my pocket, right? And all this thing was because I was following a truck. And you know, there's a lot of construction going on. And the truck had a rock that flew out of the truck and hit my radiator. And I didn't realize that my radiator was leaking. I kept driving the car. And then it, of course, once the water, water leaks completely, it'll like overheat the engine and the engine burns out, right? So I had to get my engine replaced. But that was the issue, was that a rock hit the radiator. And I kind of remember when I exactly know that the rock hit the radiator. I had seen the rock hit the radiator. So when he said that's what happened, but see, this is why it happens. And that's why you have to be surrendered and accept that this is what is. Right? You had
Become present.
you had the same thing with the tires for your daughter's car, right? You suddenly had to come up with $600 or $700, whatever it takes to replace 4 tires, but you had the money, right? You're not going to say, oh my God, and bash people. So you did a new earth creation, right? Then why are you saying, I don't know if I'm on a new earth? You acted out of consciousness. You accepted what is. You talked to me. I said, accept what is. So you accepted what is. When your daughter came, you went and got that is part of the new earth creation. How kindly did you talk to the person at the tire place? How kindly did you get the tires replaced? I normally give them a tip when they do some work like that. I give them $40 or something, and then I drive away. I see a smiling face while I'm leaving. That's my reward that I did the right thing, right? Right?
Yeah, money is such a big topic when it comes to, learning about the flow and even understanding it, because we have these deep unconscious, I call them pain body blockages that, have a way of showing up. Like, for example, one of the biggest one for me that I've been working on, that I've had to work on, and I wouldn't have even noticed it had it not been for that whole thing I did with Eckhart, and then came into presence, and to the point where I was like, in connection with my nervous system, and I recognized that, oh my God, every time I experience, and there's specific like type of stimulation, like for example, I receive money, I would just like, rather than allowing it to flow, because there's a rhythm and vibration as well to the frequency and that in and out flow that nobody kind of, I don't think anybody could even talk about it, because it's an energy thing. And I only started kind of, realizing it when I noticed, oh my God, when I receive money, my nervous system, or when just anything happened that's intense, because my nervous system has been programmed to a stress response. I suddenly I receive money, and I start to spend it. Oh yeah, I'm flowing, I'm flowing. What I'm doing is I'm anxietying. I'm anxietying, has nothing to do with flow, So as a result of that,
Beautiful.
yeah, spending all my money, and then suddenly I'm broke, and I'm like, what the F did I do? Like, how is this manifestation abundance thing not working? I allowed it to flow. And no, I wasn't allowing it to flow. It was my nervous system reactivity that was spending the money, that was doing everything that it did. But my, unawareness disguised it as flow, right? So that for me was my biggest breakthrough when it came to money, because I've been really paying attention, being present, with my inner body, but also paying attention. I've been rewiring my nervous system. Actually, that's it on the back there with the messy diagram of my brain and all of the stuff that I've been working on. Like, if I've been deep in it in that regards. And I'll give you, one of the things Ken Honda taught us about, money is, arigato living, right? Meaning when we spend money, we say arigato as well, like whether if we're paying for even if we're paying for like let's say a cup of coffee, because we weren't taught to do that, right? We were taught to like, oh, God, I just spent money on this. Oh, and we become restricted around what we're spending money on. And we're not recognizing from that space of gratitude the fact that, no, we're spending this money on something that's actually serving us. What is that coffee or that tea? In my case, it's tea. What's that tea doing for me? Oh my God, I feel so good drinking this tea. Thank you very much for tea, Thank the barista for, all the work that they did in preparing it. So there's a gratitude aspect too, element that's, attached to that flow and that energy of abundance. And I'm learning that it's a very, very sacred energy. It's very soft, and it's like, we really have to like wield it, but we can only wield it, like for myself, haven't fall in and out of it. I'm finding I can only wield it the way it was intended, from presence, deep presence. And being in that energy, like when I wake up in the morning, thank you, God, thank you for taking care of me today, and things like that. And recently, sorry, I'm going to share quickly. I recently became triggered because my sibling was here, the one that gives me a hard time. And, she's sitting in my chair, we're chit-chatting, and all of a sudden she said that, oh, it's, easy for you to talk when you're just, sitting here living and do what you're doing when you're just sitting there, sitting here living on handouts and not doing anything. I went from like, oh, awareness, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, I got this down. And then, yeah, little triggers every now and again because it's sibling to like, so like from zero, like grounded to like, what did you just say? I yelled at her, like the trigger. It was just like, so, like no way. And in fact, I beat myself up so much after because there was I'm like, where did my awareness go? I don't understand what just happened. So of course I, did the crucifixion on myself, because of how I reacted. I didn't even respond. Where did responding go, right? Because I'm like, you have no idea what I've been doing, blah, blah, blah. And not only did I yell at her, I started defending, talking about what I've been doing, the creation. I pulled out one of my other diagrams and I said, this, blah, 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 I'm like, you don't even have the short and curly, I use the B word to be really honest, to do your work, let alone, and I just like lost it completely in a way that I couldn't have planned. And, I later on I realized like, oh my God, like I felt so sad after. I became sad because I realized that, oh my goodness, like this is after everything, this is what my family still thinks of me, And so that sadness started sitting in and playing its thing, and my ego mind taking advantage of, the fact that
One second, Francesca. Patricia, you look pretty tired. If you have to drop and you have to work tomorrow, that's fine. I'll talk to Francesca, okay? And we can continue the live. Okay,
Yes.
grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Francesca. Sorry. Good night.
Yeah. Good night.
Wake up late tomorrow, okay? Wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Forget your celery juice and your routine for tomorrow, okay? You look pretty tired. Get some rest. Good night. Much love.
Much love.
Bye. Okay, Francesca, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry about
So
that.
literally we're at the summary. What ended up happening was after she left, a few days later, I got an email saying, oh, this subsidy has come in, and if anybody needs it, this is what it's available for. And I was like, oh my God, this is a miracle. And and the back of my mind, because by now I had worked through the nervous system piece, right? And at the back of my mind, I'm like, wow, thank you, universe. It's like the universe knew. It's almost like, it felt that sadness and what I was feeling, on the inside. And it responded to me with the biggest treat ever, because it actually paid my hydro bill for the rest of the year. So I have no hydro bill. There was another medical bill that I had. It's paid now for the rest of the year. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then, what I put my hands, I'm like, God, thank you so much for this handout. I love this handout. So,
Beautiful.
the universe, yeah, I guess where I'm going with is the universe have its way of, and this was a manifestation I didn't even put any effort into. I just sat with my, sadness and the things I was examining, what was coming up based on what she said to me and things like that, and crucifying myself for reacting instead of responding and all of that. So, yeah.
So it may be Francesca is like your sister ends up being your greatest spiritual teacher in showing that, yeah, we may say we are in awareness, but when they bring up something that is like, growing up, my mom always said, money does not grow on trees. She used to beat us up if we ever we used to get lunch boxes, right? And my brother used to have like this horrible habit of forgetfulness, and he would like take his lunchbox and lose it, and maybe like a stainless steel 20 rupees box or 30 rupees box, but he would get the beating of his lifetime as though he lost like a whole thing of gold. It's not like a 30 rupee lunchbox, right? So we lived in that survival, like that scared mode about money, right? So look at it from that point of view, that if you lived your life scared about money, now it is a pointer that, oh, you're not making enough, you're not doing anything in the outwardly world. It's triggering actually our body. And I love Dr. Joe's work for this reason, right? He explains what is going on. Our body will respond faster than our mind, like the presence can respond. The body is already responding because it's used to responding whenever the trigger arises about money and my finances. Then I'm going to like yell and scream. And it actually was my greatest. So what I used to do is, and this may resonate with you with your spending, is because I came with so much lack and we didn't have very much. Like I used to have 2 uniforms, 2 pairs of clothing that we could go outside and wear, right? Like outside wear, I had 2 pairs of clothing. Like I had to wear one or the other constantly. Like there was not like a range of clothing that I could, now I'm going to do this outfit or this outfit. For that matter, when I was like 15, like 11th grade, I would get hand-me-downs. She was tutoring this family, and those people, whatever clothes they didn't want to wear, they would give it to me. And so I would get hand-me-downs. So I have this like strong, and I know what the limiting belief is. I will not wear secondhand clothes. Like how much ever you say, save the planet, go to a thrift store, go get, no. I will buy brand new clothing. I'll go without clothing. Like I won't buy clothes for years together. But if I buy clothing, it would be brand new. I will not buy thrift store clothes, hand-me-downs for that reason. Because I wore hand-me-downs because my mom couldn't afford outfits for me, right? So I've been in such a contracted state of awareness as far as finances go, that when I got married and we had dual income, I would spend a lot of money. And it's not like money on wasteful things that I'm buying so many purses or so many shoes, just groceries. Like instead of like trying to control groceries, the grocery bill could be $100 or something, I would end up going to the best like Whole Foods and buying like $300-400 worth of groceries.
Yeah.
Right, like just spend like crazy, buy the best organic vegetables, and it used to be a source of contention between, I think that was like a main pain body thing between us, is the spending, right? But he did not realize, and I did not realize, and now I know why I did it, because from that sense of lack and incompleteness, now that we have money, I would just, so when you live with lack so much with finances, the moment that financial abundance comes, you want to like go spend it. But you have to realize
Well,
that
it's my nervous system just like unravels into like, oh, the relaxation and like, oh my goodness. And then I go in, it's like, and I'm spending, but I'm not thinking about a budget. I'm not planning, because
exactly.
at one point, I had an
me.
aversion to budget even. And I'm like, what the heck? Because, it's kind of, and from living in the homeless shelter for so long, like
Exactly.
for 2-year period. Yeah, again, that lack, right? So what I was doing Like,
Yep.
thanks to Oprah, I'm in the process of excavating my space again, because what I was doing is, even things I would buy and I would collect, and then something breaks, or something I don't, instead of throwing it out, I'm scared I might not be able to buy it again. So I'm keeping it, or I'm keeping it for Charlotte. I'm keeping it for my kids, right? And all of these holding on,
Yep.
and it blocks our field so much.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. And so now I've become like very frugal, leave alone frugal. I've become a minimalist. I have things in my house exactly what I need. There's no excesses. And
Yeah.
like if I buy clothes, which I've bought clothes in the past few weeks, now I'm going to take the old clothes and I'll find clothes that I can give away. And it always is with the intention that these nice clothes, like a lot of people keep their clothes in the closet because they go, oh, such a nice outfit, I spend this much money on this, oh, let me save it, I'll use it 2
I
years
used to
from
do
now.
that a lot.
No, just give it to somebody that
Yeah.
can use it if you're not using it. And that's what I tell my son as well. If you're not going to use it, I'm going to give it away in donation so that some other human being is making use of, instead of hanging in the
Oh yes, I
closet.
give away bags and bags. I just let it all go. I'm like, you know what? I can always buy another one, right?
Mhm.
It's not like I'm lacking abundance. It's, I just have to give it the room that it needs to flow,
Exactly. So
and control,
did you
and heal my nervous system, because that was a huge one. When it became triggered, it went like, I call it, it's almost like anxious, in that unraveling, like the relief, so it's got this tension when, from the lack, right? Like, say, okay, I'm kind of broke, I'm running on just a skimpy budget, and here I am tense, and then suddenly the money comes, it's like, whew, and then the unraveling happens.
Yep. Yep.
And the unraveling is usually in food, because the first thing I'll do is I'll go eat out, or I'll take the kids, oh, Charlotte, here, let's go, and we'll buy food, whether it's in a restaurant, or like you said, at Whole Foods, or,
Yep.
and the fridge would be packed, the pantry would be packed. And it's like, oh my God, I can't eat all this stuff, but it's like, yeah.
Yep. Okay, let's close. We've been
Yeah.
talking for a long time.
Yeah.
So grateful, so eternally grateful. Thank you for your input. And Sri Lakshmi, thank you for being with us. Many blessings, both of
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Eternally grateful. Bye. Have a wonderful week.
Good
Bye.
day.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.